Hey everybody, I recently installed a SunSun 304B filter on my 125 gallon native tank, and I got a lot of people recommending that I buy the Fluval FX6 filter, and I've looked at that filter a lot over the years, and I'm no more interested in buying it now than I was back when I started in the hobby, because of course I heard that was like the go-to awesome filter to get, and so I looked into it back then, and I never really saw anything that particularly made me want to buy that over the SunSun filter. So in this video I'm going to explain why that is. So I want to make clear that I've never purchased a Fluval, I've never used one. This video is not a critique of the Fluval or any kind of review or anything like that. This is simply my reasoning why I've never actually purchased one. If you think I'm missing out, you think I'm making a mistake or whatever, I'll certainly be glad to hear your reasoning why. But this is my reasoning why I've never purchased the Fluval. I've always found the SunSun 304Bs to be a sufficient filter for me. So first of all, let's start by what a filter does, what my filter requirements are. I need something that is going to draw water up out of the tank. I need an intake line, basically. I need a pump that pumps water into a canister. I need that canister to be able to hold trays for biomedia, so I can put my various mechanical and biological filters in there. And then I need a hose that runs the water back into the tank with some sort of spray bar or whatever other setup I want to personally put on there just to get the water back in the tank. That's all I need out of a filter. Anything beyond that is gravy. It might be nice to have, but it's totally not necessary. And when I look at the price between the two, maybe if I had an unlimited budget, honestly, I still don't think I would, because I just still think it would be wasting my money, and I don't like wasting my money no matter how much of it I have. But I really am usually on a very tight budget, and I usually have to do everything budget friendly, and that doesn't necessarily mean buying junky stuff. That usually winds up costing you more in the long run. I still like to buy quality products. I just don't like to unnecessarily spend a lot of money on big name brand products that don't really do a lot more than what the no-name brand products. And the SunSun is more or less a no-name brand product. I'll shoot another video about that in the near future, explaining how all that works and why you see so many of those filters that look all exactly the same and have all these different weird names on them and all. It is the same filter. It's that SunSun filter. Again, I'll get into that in a different video. But it's a good filter. I've never had a problem with the SunSun. I've never had one leak. I've never had one stop running. I've never had one make noise. I've never had one come apart or one of the hoses fall off. The only problem I've ever had with the SunSun filters is when I've left the UV light on 24/7 and just let it run, and after about a year and a half, that will deteriorate the plastic inside the trays, and the manufacturer tells you that. They recommend not running it like that. So again, this is my fault. And it wasn't anything that went wrong with the filter, it just I would have to replace the trays. Now, I always find them inexpensive enough that it's easier just to replace the entire filter than it is to replace the trays, but that's just it. You can get the SunSun filter for anywhere from $75 to $100, somewhere in there, whereas the Fluval FX6 retails for about $340. And it's basically a canister filter. It pumps water in, you run it through filter medium, and it goes out the other side. I can't fathom what costs so much money about that filter that makes it worth so much money. One of the things that I've seen about it, the way the trays get pulled out, you have to pull all the trays out at the same time instead of just one at a time. That seems to me like something I wouldn't like, not a bonus. The only thing I liked about it was it's got a petcock drain at the bottom where you can actually drain the water out of the canister rather than lift up the whole canister full of water and have to carry it into the other room. But other than that, I don't really see what is so different about it. It's got an external pump on it. So while the Fluval video I watched where they were talking about how awesome their filter was, they were talking about the size of it and how compact it is, but they were talking about the canister itself. They never mentioned that it also has this pump that sits externally, apparently. And so that just seems kind of odd and unnecessary to me. The only difference is with the SunSun, it's got the pump up at the top, and so when the water's not all the way in there, it can be a little challenging to get the siphon going and to pump on the top of it. And I'm not going to argue, that can be a pain in the butt, but we're talking the difference between a $90 filter versus a $300+ filter. Once every 2 or 3 months when I change out that filter, I can pump on the little siphon pump a few times to get it started again. That's not that much of a convenience for me, having it sort of self-start. It's not worth that much extra money to me. The video I watched today, they were talking about how they've redesigned their motor to make it more efficient, and they showed me some little computer chip that could have been a chip out of a pocket calculator for all I know, but they showed me this computer chip and they assured me that they've redone the software and everything so that it runs more efficiently. We're talking about a 30-watt pump filter, I mean, how much more efficient can they make it? And if I'm saving an extra 2 or 3 watts, how many years would it take to recoup my money back? We're talking about 4 times the cost between the SunSun filter and the Fluval filter. There's got to be a lot to justify 4 times the cost, and I just don't see it. It's not wired for Bluetooth. It doesn't have a smart speaker on it. It doesn't do the dishes. I can't imagine what about this filter is worth $340 compared to the $80 or $90 you pay for the SunSun filter. Now again, the SunSun filter is no bells and whistles. It doesn't have any computer-operated pump. It's just got a pump. You plug it in and an impeller spins and it moves the water through. That's all I need. I don't need a computer to operate the pump on my filter. Maybe if you've got some, exotic tank that's got corals in there and you've got tens of thousands of dollars invested into your system, all right, not going to argue with you. I probably wouldn't go with the SunSun either. But for me, on a budget, for the tanks I have, there's just no question. What Fluval would have to do to get me to spend that kind of money on the filter, I just cannot imagine what it would do, because I'm not going to fill that filter any differently than I'm going to fill my SunSun filter. I'm going to have mechanical media in there, and then I'm going to have biomedia in there. I don't ever run carbon. I don't ever really use the UV light anymore. I never really have a need to run the clarifier, so I don't even use that. Again, I can't imagine what about that filter makes it worth that much money. And if you know, and if you've used one and you think it's worth that much money, and I'm just totally missing the mark on this one, please tell me. Tell me what makes it worth that much money. And who knows, maybe if I get enough donations from viewers someday, I'll put it to the test. But I'm not spending my money unless somebody can give me some really compelling evidence as to why that filter is worth so much more than the simple SunSun. And having said that, I'm not discouraging anybody from going out and buying it. If you want to spend your money that way, it's your money. You go out and you spend it on whatever filter you want. And if you're going to sleep better at night knowing you've got that good brand name, best top of the line Fluval filter down there, go for it. I'll put a link down below to both filters, and you can buy either one you want. But for me, just from Amazon, you can get it for $95 or $98, I think is what I got, and that's the whole kit. It comes with the biomedia, it comes with the filter material, and the whole 9 yards, and you get it for less than $100, and it does everything you need a filter to do. Again, in all the years I've been using them, the only issue I've ever had, other than them simply just clogging up over time, which is what happened to my last filter that I swapped out, the trays deteriorate from me leaving the UV light on, and over time, with lack of me getting in there and really cleaning out the interior mechanisms and the impeller and all that stuff, they get gunged up over time. But they're so cheap that after 3 or 4 or 5 years of use, I just buy a new one. So, I could clean it out and keep going, but I've always wrecked those filter trays with the UV light, and so I've always just found it easier to simply replace them rather than, replace the filter trays. So now that I don't use the UV light, it'll be interesting to see how many years of use I actually get out of the filters before I really have a reason to replace them. Something goes wrong. Again, I've never had one make noise, I've never had one leak, I've never had one stop working, and I've never had one like blow a hose or fall out of my tank, anything like that. No issues whatsoever in all the years out of all the SunSun units I've ever used have I ever had an issue. And again, it's just a no-brainer for me. I'm not spending 4 times the amount of money to buy that Fluval. Again, this is my opinion. If you want to buy the Fluval, have at it. Again, I'll put the link down below. And on that note, I feel like I've said everything I have to say, and I'm going to say make sure you're subscribed. And by all means, please, again, put your comments down below. I would love to hear them, especially if you've got personal experience with the Fluval. Again, make sure you're subscribed. That way you won't miss anything I've got going coming up. So thanks again for watching, and I'll see you real soon in the next one.